Welcome to the IdeaForge online workshop space. In this video, you will learn how to make your first stitch and navigate some of the common challenges that come with it. At this point, you should have your machine set up on a proper working surface with a fully loaded bobbin and threaded needle. If you aren't there yet, click here to watch the machine setup, bobbins, or needle threading tutorials. If you're all set, then you are finally ready to get stitching. Start by gathering these supplies. Let's start with this fancy little screen here and what all of this means. This big number corresponds to the stitch over here. Right now, for example, I'm set up to be sewing stitch number 53. As pretty as that one appears to be, I don't really need anything that snazzy, so I'll just adjust this down to a single stitch, like so. This underline shows what value you're modifying. You can use the right and left arrows to toggle between features. There we go. This is the most versatile and commonly used stitch on these machines, as it suits most basic sewing projects. In general, the best stitches to choose from are a single straight stitch, a triple straight stitch, a zigzag stitch, either centered or to the right. As you can see, there are a lot of stitch options on these machines, including button sewing and holes, as well as some more decorative stitches. These are more complex and generally require a bit of additional setup, as far as changing out the feet, adjusting tensions, and using specific threads and fabrics. This middle number represents the location of your needle, starting from 0 being the farthest left position and increasing as you move to the right. Certain stitches have limitations on what positions you're able to choose, so don't worry if you find one that can't be adjusted as far as another. The final far right value represents the frequency of the stitches. Think of it as a stitches per distance measurement. Stitches that are farther apart are often more flexible, while those that are closer together tend to be stronger. Like most things in sewing, there's a balance between the two for each project. A word of caution though, the closer together the stitches are, the more likely the thread is to get tangled. Each stitch on these machines comes preset with generic specifications according to the manufacturer. You can always change these to suit your project, but if you're unsure of what settings to use, the preloaded options are usually a safe bet. Once you've picked your stitch, it's time for a practice seam, just to make sure everything is set as we want it before we start working on our actual project. Start by sliding your scrap fabric under the needle and foot, lining it up such that the needle seems to be in the approximate position where you want to start your seam. Once you've lined it up to your liking, use this lever to lower the foot and clamp the fabric in place. Always be sure to lower the foot. This is the most common mistake when people are first learning how to sew, and it results in intense tangling, machine maintenance, and lots of frustration. The foot on your sewing machine has these little teeth called feed dogs that mesh with the others on the machine itself. Together they pinch and pull your fabric through at the proper rate for the set speed and type of stitch. Your only job while sewing is to steer. Let the machine do the work and never push or pull the fabric through, as it can cause creases and knots. If you want to change the speed, you can adjust the pressure on the foot pedal, as well as using this slider. With everything in place, try sewing a practice seam. When you're finished, simply remove the fabric by raising the foot and pulling the thread out like so. This hook here is a blade that can be used to cut the thread and free your project. Examine the seam for any knots, tangles, or unevenness. If your seam looks good, then you're ready to sew. If there are knots or tangles, make sure that the foot is lowered and try one more time to see if the machine just needed to warm up, so to speak. If you're still having knots, tangles, or unevenness, a likely culprit could be the top thread tension. Especially in the case of unevenness, adjusting the top thread tension, according to this guide, may be exactly what you need. Give it a try, and if you're still having difficulties with your practice seams, refer to the instruction manual in the description below, other video tutorials, or contact an IdeaForge staff member for assistance. And with that, you're officially ready to sew. To learn next steps in getting you ready to sew, click here to go to the IdeaForge Intro to Sewing playlist. If you have any questions about the material covered in this video, the IdeaForge in general, or for other sewing help, visit our website at colorado.edu/IdeaForge, or find us in the Fleming Building. Thanks for watching!